They are the most toxic couple this season.
The most delusional for sure. Killian tells Hayley, if you were any other girl who wasn't modest, I would have smashed you by now. You accused me of something. You're attacking my character, you're insulting my integrity, and I am going to defend that. Calling me defensive is not a slight. That is a manipulation tactic, to be the victim, even though you're guilty of the thing that you're accusing me of, because the burden of proof lies on you.
They had the wildest story as to like why they weren't together.
They were totally different. They were like opposite of what happened, and everybody was kind of confused. But Nick Lachey asked Hayley, well, did you pour the beer on his head? And she was like, yes, I did do that. And it was like,
you left it out of your story. Killian in his group chat really showed who Killian is at his core, which is a huge red flag. He's claiming that this is like locker room talk.
That's weird talk, bro. We don't talk like that. I don't talk to my homies like that. I don't talk to my friends like that. And if I had friends that talk like that, we probably just wouldn't be friends.
Lots of drama to unpack.
All right, welcome to another episode of Love Up for Debate. Today, we're going to do something special. We're going to do a reaction video to the fourth season of The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On. Okay, one of our other guilty pleasures, right? We did the Love Island. And the thing about Ultimatum is they put the entire season out on Netflix. So we watched the entire thing and then had to get over here and do a bit of a recap and a reaction because we do enjoy the show. I do think it has its issues, but it definitely, plays on relationship issues to be talked about for sure. But before we get into it, please like and subscribe to the video. We're glad that you're here and we appreciate you helping us, grow and prosper on this YouTube platform. Okay, so hit that like and subscribe button. And without further ado, we're going to get into our reaction and recap of Ultimatum Season 4.
Yes, all
Ready?
right. So
all right.
Overall, how do you think that Netflix did with this season?
Okay. The Ultimatum has a good core, right? And it might be a little bit of a crazy idea to like swap partners and stuff, but I do like the foundation of it. The problem is I don't think that they have anybody equipped to counsel these people who clearly they all need counseling.
Agree.
Yeah,
yes.
And that's where I think the show kind of fails at, right? It's great that you swap couples and then, you try to learn and grow from it, but it's like there's no, I like the shows that kind of have some sort of psychologist or therapist on hand, that is there to kind of coach them through. I think that's one of the things like Temptation Island does well is they have the therapist there and he kind of coaches them and counsels them because regardless if you grow from the couple, you can at least grow as a person and get more because I think there was a lot of just so many open-ended, and I hate to be long-winded here, but there's so many open-ended issues on this show that nobody learned from, and there was no like definitive, hey, this is an issue that you have. You should work on this, right? Like I think therapy and counseling can go a long way on this show. And Nick and Vanessa, like
yes.
They're cool, right? This is what they do. But I think fairly generic things that they say. Plus, I think their goal is more so it's kind of rating based. So it's not so much. Yeah. It's kind of to let the drama play out, which is fine. But I'm a psych guy, I'm a philosophy guy. So I kind of want to hear the in-depth takes from somebody who's like studied it. So I think that's one of the biggest things that this show misses out on. And the drama's there and it's fun and definitely can be frustrating most of the show. But I mean, hey, that's what we're here for. That was Love Island. This is the same thing. I'm not sure which one is even worse. But yeah, I think that's where it's missing. I don't want to get too, long-winded on that. But that's my take on the show. Definitely a lot of toxicity that should be addressed and never gets addressed,
course.
Right?
No, and especially because like the difference between Love Island and this show, Love Island, they're just like dating, This show, they're wanting to get married by the end of it. That's what they're hoping for. So it's like,
you're not 23 on an island drinking, right? You're making out with everybody there. You're there trying to get married and trying to become the person who would be a good wife or husband. Yeah. And you're letting kind of these people fend for themselves without any true growth. Like maybe they learned a few things, but
because you can learn some things from like certain people, or you can learn what you don't want in a relationship just by like being in a trial marriage with someone else. But lots of drama to unpack. I say let's start off with a reunion.
Yeah, right? let's go back. Let's go
and
backwards.
Then we can work our way backwards. Okay. Absolutely. So Ashley and Killian stole the show. Okay, like they are the most toxic couple, I think, on this season.
Sure. The most delusional for sure.
Yeah,
like two delusional people who are just.
Oh my goodness! But it's also kind of frightening because like they were kind of alike.
Yeah.
In that type of way.
Yeah.
Like you
it's
could
like
see
if
like
you get two delusional people to think like, oh, we're cured in 2 days after we just had a huge fight of issues that we haven't worked through.
That
I think we're
insane.
good to go. Yeah. It's like
that was absolutely insane. Yeah. So.
Which played out because they obviously did not end up together.
They did not.
And had a horrible kind of, I guess breakup maybe it seemed. Or maybe it wasn't horrible. They were sitting beside each other. I don't know. I'll let you get into it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, really great point. They didn't work out. So during their time together, and they did talk about this during the reunion, Killian in his group chat, okay?
Yeah.
And this really showed who Killian is at his core.
Sure.
Which is a huge red flag and very scary.
Yeah.
When you have a man degrading a woman and also not taking up for a woman, especially because he kept saying like it was his friends, but you didn't do anything, about it, right? So basically, and you can help, like, if you remember anything like verbatim, he was body shaming Hayley, he and his friends. So his friends were talking about how he had went from a big boobed blonde woman to a smaller chest brunette woman who won't put out for him, which is really crazy.
Yeah.
He's claiming that this is like locker room talk.
Yeah.
And I love that you're here and you're a man because is like the things that were being said in the group chat. And if you remember more, if you remember anything verbatim, feel free to say it. But like, is that locker room talk? Like, are you guys really like healthy men? Okay. Let's talk about like the healthy men here. Are you guys really like comparing like our bodies?
So here's what I don't like about these type of situations. Because it puts a bad stigma on just what regular men do actually discuss. And don't get me wrong, we can have our fun and we can talk our trash. There are absolute boundaries. So I guess I want to break this down. You have they talked about how she won't put out, but they also talked about how they were all gonna like gang up on the girl and anal blast her, which I don't even know what that means. Like that's not how me and homies
like
talk.
That's essentially like like gang,
some gang grape type stuff, and that's weird talk, bro. We don't talk like that. I don't talk to my homies like that. I don't talk to my friends like that. And if I had friends that talk like that, we probably just wouldn't be friends. I'd be like, I don't know what type of time you're on. So this whole locker room talk thing. Let me break this down. Yes, do men have just our men playful banter about, oh yeah, I'd smash Jayla. Oh yeah, no, she was bad. Oh, did you see that girl's fat, butt in the gym? We definitely have those conversations, sure. And some of that stuff probably, if it got out, it might hurt some feelings because it's like, y'all being a little bit misogynist. However, I hate when they think that I hate when people try to say that and branch it out to just pure disrespect, pure disgusting conversation. Guys, I played basketball, football, I boxed. I've been in locker rooms for 20 years of my life. We didn't have those conversations. Even in high school, we didn't have those conversations. And maybe you could get away as a 15, 16-year-old talk like you just learning sex language, I guess, at that point. In your 20s and your 30s, no, that's not locker room talk. I don't like how they try to get that locker room talk shit off because we don't talk like that. We don't talk like that in our group chat. You can go through our group chats. We talk a lot of trash, but it's not disrespectful. It's not, discussing like, oh, we're going to gang anal blast. I don't even know what that means. Or I can't believe you're with a girl who won't put out. That is a representation of you guys, of y'all's character and how you guys talk to each other because you lack respect and you guys don't have any sort of integrity. Men with integrity and character, and I'm not trying to sound holier than thou. I talk my trash in my group chats with my friends. We share memes. We have our fun, but there's no world where we're just like consistently disrespecting women or just talking trash about women. Honestly, like women is kind of, again, an actress pops up and we're like, oh yeah, Sydney Sweeney or something like that. But it's even in that, it's never on some like disrespectful, like I don't know. This is very hard for me to grasp. Again, I've been in locker rooms all my life, and this is not what goes down. And I hate that they put this stigma on locker room talk. It's because they tried to do that when Trump said grab him by the vagina. That's not how we talk in locker rooms, guys. That is weird shit. That's weird. That's weirdo talk. That's lame people talk. We don't talk like that.
Yeah.
So that pisses me off because it's like y'all not about to put that stigma on all of
men.
us.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
We don't text our homies like that. And I would say Killian was like, haha, that's effed up. Like he didn't say nothing too crazy, but I promise you, like I tell you like this, in your 20s, even if you have just kind of some edgy conversations, as you get older and you start getting more serious with a girl, usually either your partners do too, and then your conversation starts to change about, more about like your relationships. Like the conversations I have with my friends now, it's about our relationships.
Yeah.
It's about what my wife did today and what my girlfriend did today and the kids, right? It's not about who we'd smash and who like,
right.
We're grown. This is
so weird. It's like
so
weird.
Again, I'm not trying to sound righteous or self-righteous. I'm just saying, like I said, every so often, but this type of conversations, no, as you get old, and what happens is the ones who do still talk like that, you kind of just little by little, like
remove yourself
from them because you realize like they're in they're kind of in a different space, right? And it's like, okay, we don't really connect or vibe. If your friends are still talking to you like that and still feel comfortable talking to you like that, that's because you talk to them like that.
Yes. And that's why I feel like with that group chat, for them to even say that, like, Killian, come on, my guy. Yeah, like, those are the type of conversations that you do have.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm glad that Hayley, found that because it really showed a lot about his character.
Yeah.
Like, it did. That is, like, disgusting behavior.
Right. Well, and then, so it just, and I think then obviously it turned into him telling Hayley in a conversation directly to her.
Mm-hmm. That was off camera too, by the way. I was
camera.
Like,
this part kind of pisses me off.
Where's this? I wanted to hear it.
I thought they had the conversation in the apartment, because she said they had it in the room, and so I was a little annoyed because I was like, "You guys have audio in the house. I don't know how you didn't pick up unless like the door was shut." Yeah, I don't know why the show never. Again, maybe they had that conversation somewhere else. But Killian tells Hayley, if you were any other girl who put out or wasn't modest, I would have smashed you by now. And he was saying that in response to, I guess, thinking that
like his girl Ashley
was doing stuff with Blake, and then they try to claim, I guess, that Hayley put that thought into his head by saying that Blake is touchy-feely.
Yes.
But it's just. That was a random comment she made. That wasn't something he witnessed.
Right.
So his words verbatim was like, with how she's acting. She wasn't really acting any type of way,
It was just like all of the things that were just like he was just conjuring up in his head or that Hayley was like filling his head up with.
Yeah.
I feel like those two, because of course, like they were in a trial marriage together, they were so toxic for each other.
Very toxic.
Like they did not know how to like help each other through the experience. And I think that that's why the drama like spiraled out of control the way that it did.
Yeah, and I can understand that this experience is definitely a very it's a rare one, right? It's a different one, and it's not a normal one. It's not something this is one of those things that you have to know yourself and be like, I am okay with my girl going and staying with another guy for X amount of, days or weeks or whatever. If you know you can't really process that and you can't really deal with that, I don't know why you come on this show in the first place. You got to fill out paperwork, you got to do background checks, you got to do interviews, you got to get picked, you got to say yes, then you got to get flown out. So what are we doing?
You've seen the show.
Yeah, you've seen the show. Yes, that's the other thing.
what
you've
the
seen the
show's
show
about.
before, so it's not like and we've
Weird.
seen this happen before where couples got into fights or the guy got jealous and came to the girl, and then some people left because they can't handle and maybe you just don't know what you can handle and what you can. But I think at the end of the day, it's like if you make this conscious choice, then as an adult, and it's something you can't deal with, or something you might have a slight struggle with, especially if you deal with insecurity on the outside. This is not don't come on this show.
Yeah.
And I can understand jealousy, and I can understand you're definitely going to feel a way about your partner with somebody else. But if you don't have that self-control, and I'm not saying you have to have the self-control, I'm just saying if you don't, this ain't for you.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, don't come on the show.
Why do it to yourself? I don't understand. Yeah.
So that started the whole thing, and then you can get into it. Yeah.
And so, Hayley felt the need to tell Ashley, which was Killian's partner, about the text and the modest comment that he made, and it ended up with Ashley defending Killian. She was taken aback, of course, but at the same time, she didn't know who to believe, which I also think is kind of like a common
cope.
Yes. Yeah.
Because your dude, and you know what I mean? It was a random thing it would be a very random thing for Hayley to make up. And that doesn't mean people can't make things up.
Right.
But this is kind of, and again, we kind of had this conversation, but this is what happens in these type of instances is that you guys are all understand, right? Where you have a partner, or let's just talk about your mom, right? And it's I can talk about my mom, but y'all can't talk about my mom, right? Because that's family. That happens in relationships too, where even if you're with a partner who is not a good one, could be abusive, could just be a bad person, they represent you because you chose them. So it's one thing to find, that's why people say, if you see your friend's girl cheating or your friend's boyfriend cheating, they're hesitant about telling them, because if you go and tell them, those people might be more mad at you than this happens all the time.
Yes.
Because so people take it personal because this is a representation of you. So the more they kind of started attacking Killian, instead of the effect that they hoped it had, which was hey, stay away from Killian, Ashley, stay away from Killian, it actually will have the reverse effect, because she's now feels more so that she has to defend Killian, because it's kind of this it's this internal thing of she's really defending herself. Killian is her partner. She's chosen Killian. If you attack Killian, then you're attacking me. And I have to, and also I love him and I care about him. So even if he does do all these bad things, I can call him trash and all this stuff. Y'all can't do that, right?
Yeah.
That's just how people get, especially it's just a possessive thing that humans, we all pretty much do it. So you got to be careful when you start telling people what their partner is doing, because they will get more defensive towards you than they will, to the partner, and then they'll start coping. And so now that's kind of what Ashley started doing. And I watched and I was like, Hayley, if you keep talking bad, so bad, and then all the girls kind of joined in.
Oh my
if y'all
goodness,
keep going in about Killian, she's going to flip a switch and defend him. And then that's exactly what she started doing, justifying it. Well, maybe it's because I do know that I can do these things, or I know that he means well. That's the cope they start having. And then they'll start to, again, because Hayley and Ashley had a decent relationship by the end of this, or they stopped liking each other. Yeah, by the end they were going off on each other,
which is very unfortunate.
So it was one of those, and that's what happened. So you got to be really, really careful about how you present. Hey, I saw your partner cheating, or hey, I saw your partner said or did this, especially when A, you didn't have proof, and then B, he just lied. He just straight up said, I didn't say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And she it's her prerogative to believe him.
Yeah.
So what do you think she's going to do, right? Believe the random girl that told her this?
Right.
Or believe who might have some sort of ulterior motive, or believe her dude who she's known all her life and doesn't want it to be true.
Yeah.
The other part of their relationship, the issue is that Killian, or Ashley's father, doesn't like Killian much, or at least he wouldn't give him his hand, give him his blessing to take her hand in marriage. And rightfully so. When they got back together, there was a lot of fighting. They definitely, still had their issues. And, so the dad issue seemed like, what it seemed like to me is that the dad didn't really accept Killian. And over time, I think it started to progress for Killian, where he was like, you know what, I don't care. I'm not going to keep dealing with this. So there was a portion where the dad was just trying to have almost just a regular heart to heart with him, and he was like, a man does this thing. A man does, he changes tires, and he protects his family. And this is one of those things. It's like even if you have a bit of even if you don't care for your wife's parents, and I don't know the extent of their relationship. Guys, did a tour in Iraq for 3 years, right? So it's like one of those things. Sometimes you just oblige and go on even if you have issues, or it's like some battles aren't meant to be fought, right?
Yes, of course.
Especially small ones that just make you look bad. So there was a point in that conversation where the dad was like, even changing, you got to change tires and stuff. And then Killian kind of pipes up out of nowhere, and he was like, well, I'm not going to do the plumbing. I'm obviously going to call somebody and hire them. And it was like one of those comments where it's like, he got fairly defensive, which made me think, okay, this might just kind of be an ongoing thing where maybe the dad keeps telling him what a man is or something, and he's tired of hearing it. But it's just one of those conversations where it's like, is it important enough for you to come off as like a dickhead or an asshole? You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just like, yeah, okay, cool. Like I get it. Protect your daughter, change the tire, like be a man. You're basically just saying be a man. Not like I'm going to hire somebody to do this. Like, okay, Killian, we get it, bro. But this just says more, again, it just goes back into your character where you're just not understanding the assignment here.
No, of course.
So,
No, that was like a pansy move.
It was
on
dumb.
Killian's
Why would you
part.
say that to her
I was
dad?
like, yeah, why would you? Like, you're like really hoping that he gives you his blessing.
Yeah, you're trying to get his blessing.
And you're just like really just showing him why you're not a good fit for his daughter,
Yeah.
So,
no,
I thought that was pretty crazy. And it kind of interested me because like the type of like father he was, it's just like very interesting, like how he just put up with Killian the way that he did as well. Just
I know,
because like Killian comes off as a fuck boy. Like the more like we kept watching him, I was like, oh, this is not a good man.
Well, and I'm not a father of a grown daughter. I have a little one, right? So I'd like to think that, if you brought somebody home and they behave this way, I'm gonna obviously not, I'm gonna say something. But at the same time, I wonder, as a father, when your daughter gets older and does start making her own choices, especially as in her 30s, at that point, I think you do maybe have to find that balance of, okay, I want to protect my daughter, but also she's a grown adult and makes her own decisions, and she loves this guy, right? And I think as parents, sometimes, we do know best, but we also know our kids have to find out the hard way. Now, obviously, you don't want her being like physically abused or anything like that, and obviously, you don't want to see her any type of abuse you don't want to see her hurt or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's like she loves him. Maybe I'm missing something too, and obviously you don't want to think that because it's like I have great discernment. I've been around the block a couple times, and I'm a man, so I can, and you're already kind of standoffish because, there's a man with your daughter. And so that already, but it's nice to be like, hey, that's a great man that my daughter chose. And seeing that, definitely you probably want to say something, but at the same time, maybe there's a world, or maybe there's like a part of you that's like, I also don't want to lose my daughter. So because at the end of the day, your child is going to pick their part.
Yes, that's very true.
They're gonna take the hard route, because they think they know better than you, and they've done that all their lives. And we did it when we were kids. So they're going to always go against you, especially as adults. So you have to find that middle ground. It's like, okay, I don't want my daughter to hate me because I hate her man. I got to make sure I find ways to make it work with him so that I don't lose my daughter at the same time. I don't know if that's it. And I don't want to like, this is probably not the biggest part of the show, but I just wanted to kind of get that out there.
Yeah.
No, but it also makes me, sometimes when I see parents like that, I just, because Ashley has some major issues.
For sure.
Some major issues. And I was just like, how, like, I don't know. You seem like you have both parents. Well, now he did say he was gone for 3 years. So maybe that was a big part of her teenage life.
Could have,
Right, because Ashley's biggest issue is she like her communication is really bad. She doesn't know that she's manipulative. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys caught the conversation with her and Blake and you were on her side on that, but I promise you, if you were on her side, but with our conversation with Blake, you were on the wrong side, and you need to do some soul searching. That hurt. She was the problem in that conversation. 1,000%. You can like or dislike Blake, regardless of that. His conversation with her in that moment was 100% on point.
Yeah.
So
Let's unpack that.
If you want to talk about their conversation, and I'll.
Yes. Yep. So during guys' night, of course, Blake confronted Killian because like what Hayley is accusing Killian of saying, like, there's no record of it, right?
Yeah.
So everybody, it's like they're all just trying to get down to the bottom of, like...
Yeah. So he said, she said thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And so he did flat out ask Killian, if he said that to Hayley, and Killian's been denying it this whole time. But I think, like, Killian's, like, response kind of made Blake believe that it was said.
Mm-hmm.
Killian did. I think that I remember him saying something like he might have said something and it was like taken out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, of course he's claiming that he had like some drinks that night. Right. And it's just been one of these things like Killian just can't like remember.
Yeah. Which is like.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing here?
So Blake, of course, I know in his mind, like, he believes Hayley, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back to Ashley and tells her, like, that he had that conversation with Killian, but he says that Killian admitted to saying it, which is very interesting because Killian didn't say, yes, I said it, right?
I was kind of surprised. It felt like he said that and he wanted to kind of clean it up, but then he was like, I just said it. I'm gonna see what happens.
Yes.
That's what it almost looked like.
and it's almost like I get like Blake and Hayley are wanting to help Ashley.
Yeah.
But it's like you just can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped and who's getting frustrated with you guys, right? So I think that is also like why things ended so poorly in this conversation. Because I think Ashley is like starting to feel like, okay, like now you guys are like really coming at me real hard about Killian.
Yeah, and if I find out you're not telling the truth, even the whole truth, I get that little bit of space that I need to be like, see, I knew you guys were lying, right? Like,
yes,
and now you kind of you basically dismiss everything you said, like you place doubt on everything that you said.
Absolutely.
And
now I can't trust you.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like really interesting because of course it's like she doubled down and asked him, like, did Killian really say that?
Yeah.
And he had to admit that, like, he didn't technically come out and say it, but he's 95% sure
right.
that he said it. So
that leads a bit to their tiff that Ashley is like, okay, like, and they seem to be okay, but then there was a point on the balcony where they're discussing, or where Ashley is talking to Blake, and she basically accuses him of, she tells him, I know you went to the movies with, and this is where the whole conversation, this conversation with Ashley is where I gain immediately perspective on like who Ashley is and the problems that she has. So Killian, Blake and Ashley are on the balcony. Ashley basically accuses him and says, I know you went to the movies. I know you weren't alone. I know you went with Hayley. And Blake doesn't immediately deny it. He kind of, he's basically saying, I think he kind of was more so like he knew that's not true. So he kind of was like, whatever. Like in his head, he's thinking that's not true. And he's like, well, you also, I know you've been spending the night with Killian, right? And so that's what he says to her. And so she responds and said, she kind of starts, well, that's what he does to me. That's what Killian does to me. He tries to flip the script and he tries to deflect and make it about me and things I've done. And I think, and I can understand that world. Like I definitely know first handle the things that are being said about you. And then, right. But the problem was like, also, you can't be a hypocrite.
Yes.
You can't approach me with hypocrisy of like you're accusing me of something that for one isn't true, or at least he said it wasn't true, and she can't prove it. So you're approaching me with something that you're accusing me of something that's not true. But I know for a fact you did this with Killian, and so now you're a hypocrite and you're accusing me. You're attacking me. So that was kind of his angle. And when she kind of piped back and was like, "Oh, you're deflecting. That's the same thing that Killian does," and you try to flip the script, when he's done something. And Blake in that moment was pretty chill in terms of saying, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to flip the script. I wasn't trying to be defensive. He was basically just saying, I didn't do what you said I did, and I shouldn't have, I shouldn't have attacked you, is what she said, that he attacked her. Yeah. So me watching this, and I'm like, oh, that wouldn't have went down that way with me. I was like, because not because I want to be combative, but because this is a conversation that definitely needs to be had. You can't accuse me of something that's not true, and I know you're being a hypocrite in that accusation because you've been doing it. Yeah, we're gonna have the conversation. That is not me flipping the script on you. That is me saying you don't get to even have a problem with me doing that,
right.
with you doing that. Like, don't even talk to me if you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you out on that. That's not flipping the script. I didn't just bring up something you randomly did in the past. I brought up something you're accusing me of doing that you're doing. Yeah, I get to definitely have that conversation, especially if I'm innocent. So in my head, I'm thinking this and I'm like, oh man, he's better than me because I would have said something. And then sure enough, next day or that night, they get back in. And Blake, he just couldn't let it go. And so he sits down. And that's the funny thing with Blake is like, Blake, I've noticed he doesn't, he won't let it go. Not in a bad way where he's like holding on to it, where it's like, no, this needs to be handled. I don't care how many like I'm sorry's or we're in a good place now that happens between now and then. This has to be said because this is a problem and I got to handle it.
Which I think is very healthy.
It can be healthy. There are times when all battles don't have to be fought, but then there's times where, especially if it's like that type of behavior, you need to address it. And he did it in a respectful way, right? He didn't pipe up at her and go off on her. He sat her down and he said, "Listen, so yesterday or last night when you accused me of this, I do want to have this conversation with you. When you accuse me of this, and it's a really, really important conversation. I think it's something to be talked about because we've been in, I know all of us have probably been in situations where we're dating somebody who immediately becomes a victim in every situation. And even if they're guilty of something, even if they're guilty of what they're accusing you of, right, they're going to find a way to be the victim. And so there's a lesson to be learned in this conversation. So he tells Ashley, first of all, you accuse me of something. And that means you're attacking my character. You're attacking my character. You're insulting my integrity. And I am going to defend that. Like, calling me defensive is not a slight. Mm-hmm. You don't get to attack my character, call me a liar, and I'm not allowed to defend it. So calling me defensive, it's not a tactic. That's not a gotcha, And then the second thing is that he tells her that in doing so, especially saying that like, oh, you're flipping the script, that is a manipulation tactic. It's a manipulation tactic to be the victim, even though you're guilty of the thing that you're accusing me of. Because and he started getting into more like debate terms, and he's told her, he was like, the burden of proof lies on you.
Yeah.
If you come and accuse me of something, I don't have to prove that I didn't do it. If you have to prove that I did do it. That's just, otherwise we'd just go around all day and I'd just be like, you could just say I did anything and I'd have to come up with proof that I didn't do it. That's hard to do when I didn't do it, right?
Yeah,
it's
of
like,
course.
how do I
Because there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing there, right? So it's like, you have to prove that I did it, or at least show where you're getting this accusation. The accusation has to be grounded in something. It can't be grounded in nothingness or feelings or I think you're doing this. Like, you have to say, oh, no, I saw you step out. I saw your text messages. And, it's not even that you have to show proof, at least have proof, say something. Yeah. She didn't have any. It was an accusation. Mm-hmm. And so he calls her out on this and tells her that is manipulative behavior. And oh my God, you would have thought he said the worst thing, which being manipulative is very, it is a bad trait to have.
It is.
But
and women don't like to be called that.
She's probably never been called that before. She's probably never been called, because Killian's not emotionally intelligent enough to even begin to have that conversation with her. Yeah. But that is, and it doesn't have to be intended, right? Her intent doesn't have to be that I'm trying to manipulate you. And I think that was her, disconnect there, not knowing that, or not intending to be manipulative, because she doesn't understand that behavior is manipulative. Right. And he called her out on it. So like, I'm so appalled that you would call me manipulative. And it's like, no, that's what that is. You can't accuse me and then be guilty of that. And then I defend my integrity. And then I say, but also you're doing this. And then you say, oh, like you're trying to flip the script on me. Well, at some point we're going to have this conversation. We can end this conversation because you asked if I did this and I said no. Okay, conversation over. Now let's go to the next conversation. You did that, right? So it's like, at some point we have to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So you can call it manipulative or what, but that turned into basically, them having a real huge kind of, dispute. And again, Blake not being super, combative here, but just saying like, I am gonna, that's what this behavior is. And she's like, you're attacking me and German. And it's like, you attacked me. Like, we wouldn't have this conversation if you didn't accuse me. And that is this, this delusion. And that right there let me know the type of person that Ashley really is. And I was like, yeah, she's a problem for sure. For sure. She's a problem.
Yeah.
We already see her cope with, and make up excuses for Killian even after he said this. And then now you find out that she uses the whole, she's the victim.
Yep.
So, that was a big moment for me and for a lot of people to watch, because I think that behavior is prevalent in a lot of relationships.
It is, unfortunately.
And and you hear words like, "Oh, you're not validating my feelings," or "You're saying my feelings don't matter." And it's not an invalidation of feelings. It's your feelings are based on a false narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So sure, you have those feelings, but if it's about something that's not true, I'm not invalidating your feelings. They're just invalid.
Yeah.
They're not based on anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you. I acknowledge that you have those feelings, but once I say that, hey, this didn't happen, we can tackle your insecurity.
Right.
But I don't know what else conversation there is to have. So that, that's that in a nutshell. And that's Killian and Ashley.
Killian and Ashley.
Who clearly don't end up together because, like you said, he's a fuckboy and she is a, manipulative narcissist. So,
Yeah. And I think that they said in the reunion that things got like, he like broke her phone or something. And she ended up having to like go stay with her parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things were definitely like getting heated at the end when they were calling it off. So
sure.
So of course we're already on Blake. So let's talk about Blake and Hayley.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think I don't know.
We're rooting for them at first.
Yes, we were, because like I liked them. I think like as individuals, I also loved the way that they, like, you could tell that they are quite similar with the way that they speak, how in tune they are like with their emotions, and they both, didn't they say that they both are like kind of like stoics?
They might have. I don't know.
Was that said?
I don't know. I talked about it, but I don't know if they did.
I feel like they were kind of like, on the same like wavelength.
Yeah. Well, just at least her biggest problem, she said, with him was that like he didn't have affection, and or he wasn't affectionate. And I kind of I think we discussed a little bit about, he kind of struck me as a bit of a stoic, and stoics do get that kind of bad rap about them.
Okay.
Only because they handle things with kind of in stride, and they don't most of them kind of learn to not let things affect them, at least their behavior. And so when people see that, they think they're numb to occurrences, but it's like, no, like I do feel a way about this, but I know to handle my feelings, and I know how to. So sometimes it'll come off as you just not caring or being nonchalant. You have to be cognizant of that and know, hey, people are going to think you don't care. You got to kind of find a balance there. But that might be part of the affectionate part, with him. But there was a lot.
Well, they definitely so they shocked me because they both seem to be very like emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
And really knew how to like speak to what I thought was each other, as well as like other people, and like their, in their trial marriages, the partner who they were partnered up with.
Yeah.
And so I was really rooting for them. And then Hayley starts opening up her mouth about wanting all 5 love languages.
Yeah, this was wild to me.
And that is when I was like, oh no, we have like, she has some serious issues that like she has not addressed within herself.
Yeah.
So
like, let's like, so just, and I'll let you continue, but hey guys, I just want to let you know, in a relationship, you have a love language. Your partner doesn't have to cover all 5 every day. That's insane. That's
I can't
insane.
believe there are people who like
you will never
that.
find a partner that way. You will always be miserable if you hold somebody to a standard of gifts every day, affection every day, words of affirmation every day, actions, and whatever the hell I don't even know what all of them are, but yeah, doing all of them every day or your partner is failing is an insane way, and it's almost like she read the wrong information and then had this kind of idea in her head. So my thing with them is like, it seems like she did the work to, like, it sounds like they both do work to learn and grow and become better people, but your application of it also matters. You cannot have all of this information and then have self-control issues.
Yeah.
Or lack self-awareness, or, you know, that's the whole point of this. And I can understand that being a part of the journey and you haven't learned that yet, but she absolutely was not. She's not finished in her journey of self-improvement. Her lack of patience, her lack of self-control when she's mad, how quickly she gets mad. Those things are to be continued, right? In terms of like improving on those. Yeah. And that's where she really, really falters, because it doesn't matter how much emotional intelligence that you have. Yeah, that's not gonna fare well in any relationship.
Yeah, no, of course. So Hayley and Blake, when they got back together after the trial marriage, they weirdly, like, they seem to have been like taking it pretty well. They were like bonding.
Well, yeah, they were bonding. They were bonding, and we were kind of cheering for them, because it was like, okay, like, do you remember what happened at the dinner when they did like have the dispute between the two couples? Because this is where they kind of started bonding, where Ashley started crying, and they were both like, "Oh, you are manipulative," because
yes, that's why I thought like, oh, they're going to be okay, because they're like so much alike and they think alike, and like they even were trying to like help Ashley and Killian throughout their things, right? But it really surprised me, because like Hayley just kept showing more of herself even throughout that, you know?
Yeah.
Her anger, like it was almost like she couldn't let go certain things that I think like Blake's connection with Ashley, or like what they did have a connection like before all of that extra stuff went down. I think Hayley started to show like certain like insecurities, and the anger kept getting the best of her. Very short-tempered, like that woman. I mean, like it was almost like a light switch, you know?
Yes.
And she would just like fly off the handle. And so I think that with those two, as much as they were like alike, it started to show like they were actually pretty toxic for each other. I think that Blake probably was like the one who just kind of like kept things together. Like now that I'm thinking about it, because of like how like calm he is, I'm sure that he kind of like leveled it out a little bit. But during the reunion, they were of course sitting across from each other, which, you know, told everybody they were not together.
Yeah.
But they had the wildest story.
Yeah.
As to like why they weren't together. And they had two separate stories.
They were totally different. They were like opposite of what happened, and everybody was kind of confused.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
Because I guess like they went out to, what was it, like a bar. And his side of the story was not that bad. I mean, like he did say that a couple of girls asked him to buy them drinks.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, listen, I don't know his relationship with her. Like, there are probably some guys who might have a girlfriend. It's like two girls walk up, ask you for a drink. You're like, oh yeah, I got y'all, you know, and take care of them. And there's another world where you're dating Hayley and you buy two girls a drink, and she's a wild spitfire, feisty. You know,
don't know what version you're going to get.
What did you think was going to happen?
And he said that he turned around and Hayley was literally looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, poured a beer on his head.
Yes, poured a beer on his head.
Which is crazy. I mean, I thought they only did that in movies. I've never had a beer poured on my head. I didn't know that was like a real thing.
Yeah, I've never poured a beer on anyone's head.
So then she tells her side of the story, and it just doesn't have any of this. He's like partying with girls who they did not meet up with, and then he ends up like leaving the bar, gets in his car, comes back, picks her up or something crazy, and then makes this kind of implication that he put his hands on her. And then he pulls out court documents that I guess he had proof otherwise. I mean,
it was signed affidavit.
Had a signed affidavit, yep. But she claims she has text messages. And then, I'll say this. Her telling the story and then just leaving out, again, they had two very, very different stories.
Yes.
But then when Nick was like, when Nick Lachey asked Hayley, well, did you pour the beer on his head? And she was like, yes, I did do that. And it was like,
you left it out of your story.
You didn't even remotely allude to that part of happening, which is weird. And it was like, well, now is any of your story true? Like, you know what I mean? Then this is what happens when you admit
your
things.
Character now.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what really happened? And then of course, the whole putting hands on her and stuff. And obviously I wasn't there, so I'm not here to say what happened or not.
Yeah.
I don't know Blake personally. The speculation there is that, she did she poured a beer on his head. She was hitting him in the car and he had to like move her out the way or, and he had to push past her to get to the door. And then her claim was that, he put hands on her. So I don't know. That was a he said, she said thing. Mm-hmm. I just, I don't want to be the one that doesn't believe women, but it definitely seemed as if, this was a bit of an exaggerated story. If it really went down like that, then obviously, there needs to be charges and there needs to be accountability for it. But Blake absolutely denied it, had court documents, signed affidavits, and then she claimed she had text messages. She never really read the text messages, but
she just lifted up her phone.
The thing with text messages for me, unless he explicitly was like, man, I'm sorry for like putting my hands on you, showing text messages of like a bad fight is always bad. It's always dumb to me because you're gonna get you might get the worst of me in a fight, especially if you poured a beer on my head. You hit me. He might say it doesn't make it right. He might have said all types of things, but to use it to assassinate my character, to try to allude to the fact that like, see, this is his behavior. He put hands on me. And it's like, I don't know, man. That's just really hard for me to grasp. I don't know. I wasn't there, and if he did do something, absolutely accountability. I'm not, I won't get into, who's right or who's wrong there. But they definitely were talking for each other, and I do think that, listen, like Blake, he's a smooth talker. He's not a dumb guy. Fairly emotionally intelligent. That could be a good thing, and it could be something that you use, to your benefit to be a little bit more slick in the things that you do. Mm-hmm. However, her anger came out on the show. It was just crazy to me that nobody called anybody out on anything. We watched the show. I know y'all watched the show back, and it's just like she's like spazzing on him half of the time together.
Yeah.
She snaps about everything. She's mad about the smallest things. He makes kind of like shakes his head at something she asked him, and she goes off. She immediately gets in a bad mood. She crashes out about so much, and I'm sorry, like regardless of, even if I am saying like something to you or, you look bad in that situation. You look like you just don't have self-control.
Yeah.
And nobody said anything. And it's like, did we watch the same thing? Did you guys did any of your couples watch the show back? She's screaming at me for half of the, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know.
Definitely a little unstable.
It was just one of those things. I felt bad because if she does the work and gets away from those anger problems, great person.
She would be wonderful.
She's intelligent. She has the information. Besides the thinking 5 love languages have to be done every day, which goes to show she just wasn't. She still wasn't there. Like whatever growth that she's working on, that's a wild thing to think. And I almost feel like, you're doing the research, but you're not. Yeah, but you're still not there, because that's a crazy thing to expect from your partner. You have a love language, and whatever your love language is, you kind of want your partner to maybe meet you there at that love language, even if it's not theirs. If yours is affection, hey, be more affectionate. If yours are words of affirmation, hey, I want to hear, you love me and I'm beautiful and there's nobody else in your life, right? But you don't pick all 5 of them.
All 5 of them is like, yeah, that's like high expectations.
Yeah,
and that like. and having setting such high expectations also, like, you know, you're going to be let down.
Yeah.
Like, no one can keep up with all 5 of those.
No, that's a fact.
You
That's
know,
a fact.
like, not even like the best of the partners. Like, are you kidding?
No,
like,
yeah.
Every single day? No. And like, and why would you expect that of someone? Like, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
That was like the one time, and I'll kind of just like give an example where he got up early and made them breakfast because he was trying to meet the acts of love language part of the 5.
Yeah,
I guess he got
service.
Yeah, I guess he's got to cross them out as he does them, and so he's like I woke up early to do that for us, and he was like, why do you think I did that? And like her response was like, because we have to eat, and it was like, okay, well, I can't win. Like, you can't win. You can't win if I'm trying to do, like, me waking up early and making us breakfast. That's like a conscious effort to meet a certain there, not because we have to eat.
Yeah. No, obviously, that was such a wild response.
Yeah, and it was just like, come on, man. You.
Yeah, and it's like, and you're just showing like you don't appreciate him.
Yeah,
and the things that he does.
Right.
That was
from our
really
visual.
sad.
We only have what we saw on camera,
it.
and everything that we saw. I didn't see Blake doing really much wrong.
No.
For the things that he was getting yelled at for, and you were flipping out about. And it's okay to be irritated about things, but if you just don't know how to converse or communicate, you can have all the emotional knowledge in the world. If you lack communication, then you're doomed.
Yeah.
And so she just lacks total communication, and hopefully she grows, and I hope she gets better at that, or maybe she watches it back and it's embarrassing. I don't know. Everybody here wanted to be right at the reunion, so it's just one of those things. But yeah,
no, crazy.